to really evolve the way that we receive and accept these reasons kasi kailangan na natin, tama nga yung sinabi ni Kong Jill, parang hindi na sila natitinag sa contempt order eh.
Ang problema kasi ginawa niyong libangan yung pagpapakontempt. Grabe, napakatindihong panggigipit ang ginagawa ng mga tauhan ni Tambaluslo sa mga inimbitahan nilang tauhan nitong si Vice President Sara Duterte. Kumusta ho kayo lahat dyan mga kababayan? Welcome back sa PH Update. Muli ho tayong nagbabalik sa panibagong reaction video at dito sa video na to, pag-usapan naman ho natin at panoorin kung paano sinuplak ng mga tauhan nitong si Vice President Sara Duterte itong nagdudunong-dunungan na congressman na si Zia Alonto Adiong. Pero bago ho natin umpisahan ang ating talakayan, isang like at isang subscribe. Masaya na ho tayo dyan at sa mga gustong sumali sa ating community, click nyo lang ho yung join button sa baba. Nandyan lang ho, join button sa baba para kayo ang pinakaunang makakita sa ating mga reaction video. Ayun na nga mga kababayan, bago ho natin umpisahan ang ating talakayan, gusto ko ho munang pasalamatan yung mga kasama natin dito sa PH Update na napakatindi ho kung sumuporta sa ating mga ginagawang reaction video. Ika nga talagang nag-extra effort ho sila sa pagpapakulay dyan sa comment section. Mega love shoutout ho muna tayo dito kay Ma'am Cebuana Guapa. Present agad sir. Sana ma-shoutout kahit di makapagpakulay. Walang problema yan madam. Maraming salamat to sa napakatinding support. Mega love shoutout dito kay Guapa Cebuana. Alam nyo mga kababayan, gusto ko kayo lahat i-shoutout kaso kung pagka ginawa ho natin yon, wala na ho tayong matatalakay. Minsan umaabot ho ng 3,000 to 5,000 comments. So, kung siya-shoutout ho lahat natin na nagpapa-shoutout, wala na ho tayong matatalakay na issue dito sa PH Update. Eto mga kababayan, mega love shoutout din ho dito kay Mama Fe Valdemoro. Maraming salamat to. Ingat ho kayo dyan sa New Zealand. Mega love shoutout. Mega love shoutout din ho dito kay Marimar. Marimar, maraming salamat. Ingat ho kayo dyan sa Malaysia. Mega love shoutout. Mega love shoutout din ho dito kay Jean Official. Ma'am, maraming salamat ho sa $15. No? Napakalaking tulong ho niyan. Mag-ingat ho kayo dyan sa Amerika. Mega love shoutout. Mega love shoutout din ho dito kay Grace Pads. Maraming salamat. Ingat ho kayo dyan sa Singapore, Ma'am Grace Pads. Mega love shoutout. Mega love shoutout din ho dito kay, syempre, dito kay Ma'am Zenaida White. Ma'am Zenaida White, maraming salamat ho dito sa 9 New Zealand dollars. Mag-ingat ho kayo dyan sa New Zealand. Mag-ingat ho kayo. Maraming salamat. Mega love shoutout dito kay Ma'am Zenaida White. Ayun na nga mga kababayan, wala na ho tayong maraming pag-uusapan dito sa video na to. Rekta na ho tayo sa nangyayaring hearing ngayon dyan sa House of Representatives, dyan sa Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability. Ito na ho mga kababayan. Game.
Main to the topic we're discussing right now. I'd like to ask Attorney Sanchez, ma'am, how many times can an employer, for example, a staff, request for a travel authority? May limit pa po sa inyo? Ilang beses po yan?
Attorney Sanchez.
And what are the reasons for example, for the head of the agency to grant this request for a travel authority?
Yes, Mr. Chair. We do not have a specific limit as to the number of times that a staff can travel as long as there is basis or justification and necessity for the travel, Your Honor.
Grabe oh, matindi-tinding panggigipit ang ginagawa nitong mga congressman na to sa mga tauhan nitong si Vice President Sara Duterte. Lahat na lang ho na nasa under ng OVP gusto ho nilang ipa-aresto. Ganyan ho kawalang ya yung mga aso ni Tambalusos na yan.
So you have to, for example, Mr. Chair, if I may be allowed, no? Kasi gusto ko lang po malaman dahil parang ang always na narason na naririnig natin ay official travel. Can you categorize to us, paano mo i-differentiate dun sa official travel, how many times can an employee request for official travel? Kung official yan na, like the regular operation ng opisina ninyo.
Your Honor, usually for official travels, it's not the employee that requests, but it's the
Office. Okay.
that
So
orders.
what about yung personal travel?
For personal travel, Your Honor, generally it would be based on the available leaves of the staff, but there would be instances when necessary, for example, if there are medical reasons, Your Honor, that can also be granted, but without.
What other reasons are there available that an employee can request for personal travel? I believe there is the medical reasons. What other reasons can an employee, a regular employee, request for a personal travel?
Your Honor, for personal travel, there are different reasons provided by under the CSC guidelines. It can be vacation or emergency leave kung namatayan, but different and
Pero hindi
varied
naman
reasons.
every week or every month magkakaroon ka ng travel, di ba? The reason why I'm asking this, Mr. Chair, and I want to put into record, because since the time that we have started this committee hearings, apparently there are certain individuals who consistently refuse to appear before this committee hearing, despite the insistence of this committee sending them invitation to appear. And they have even the gall to request to the committee to lift the contempt order, Mr. Chair. Pang-ilan na po natin ito? Pang-7, pang-5? Pang-6 na po ito, Mr. Chair. Pang-6 na ano. So, to me, if you ask me, my personal take on that is there's a deliberate refusal to attend this committee hearing. And there's a deliberate way to frustrate the proceedings of this committee, which to me, gusto kong tanungin, how many times did they send us an excuse letter citing a travel authority? Kasi parang na-abuse na po ito. I think it's time for this committee, maybe, perhaps, to really evolve the way that we receive and accept these reasons. Kasi kailangan na natin, tama nga yung sinabi ni Kong Jill, parang hindi na sila natitinag sa contempt order eh.
Ang problema kasi ginawa niyong libangan yung pagpapakontempt. No, yung ano ho kasi, kung yung contempt na yan, talagang mabibigat ang rason kung bakit nako-contempt yung mga ano diyan, yung mga resource person, yung mga ayaw dumalo. Kaso mga kababayan, merong valid reason, merong mga dokumento, di nyo tinatanggap. Kaya ang nangyari ho ngayon, pati yung mga ordinaryong Pilipino, na-contempt ka, normal na lang yan, wala nang problema. Dati pagka na-contempt, medyo nakakahiya, yung tipong, grabe, na-contempt yan si nakakulong siya dyan sa House of Representatives. Ngayon, hindi na ganun ang suma. Ngayon, pagka na-contempt ka, ang sasabihin na lang, na-contempt, normal lang yan sa House of Representatives. Maya't maya, nag-contempt sila dyan. Kahit walang kasalanan, kinokontempt nila dyan. Hindi lang nila magustuhan ng sagot, kinokontempt nila dyan. Yon ang naging problema sa inyo dyan sa House. Dapat kasi, pagka nagko-contempt kayo, yung may, ano lang talaga, valid lang yung rason. Hindi yung pagka natripan nyo, kagaya nitong si Paduano, ayaw lang sagot, contempt kagad. Yan nga yung napapala nyo. Ang dating sa ating mga kababayan, wala na silang respeto dyan sa contempt na yan. Lloyd.
So we don't want to set this example that anybody who does not like to attend, hindi ko alam kung whatever reason, dahil ayaw lang nila sumagot sa committee na ito, ay gagamitin lang nila yung convenient reason na nagkakaroon sila ng travel order, Mr. Chair. Comsec, how many times did they send us their excuse letter that they are on official travel?
Your Honor, from the time a subpoena ad testificandum was issued, so and successfully served from November 11 to today, since there's a standing contempt. For the first 4 hearings, they sent position papers stating points that why they are not attending, Your Honor. After that, travel orders na po, Your Honor.
It's really bothering, Mr. Chair, because tinanong ko nga, who really approves the travel order?
So galit ka na yan. Siyempre si VP, natural. Superior nila itong si Vice President Sara Duterte, kung siya man kasi alam nga naman magta-travel ka, sino mag-a-approve niyan. Hindi naman pwede yung ano pangalan niyan, yung Chief of Staff ka, di ba? Nandiyan na siya ngayon.
Obviously, Mr. Chair, that there's a deliberate attempt to really frustrate the proceedings and for this committee to really find out kung ano talaga itong mga allegations na kinakaharap nila ng opisina. Just to put that into record, Mr. My manifestation and my frustration as well, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. The Chair would like to recognize Congressman Kit Flores.
Mr. Chair, kanina pa tayo dito sa excuses ni Naparde, and since the Chief of Staff already mentioned that they're on official travel, may I know from the Chief of Staff exactly where the travel is of the spouses Fajarda?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, as mentioned earlier, was not able to see the travel authority of these individuals, Your Honor.
But would you know where the activities are, supposedly?
We
Where they
have,
were sent?
yes, the Office of the Vice President is actually turning 89 years old, Your Honor.
I know. Just
Yes.
give me the place po. I
I'm
just need the
sorry.
place.
I'm sorry. We are holding several activities across all our 10 satellite offices, Your Honor. So we have in BARM, we
Kaya
have...
nga, I just need where Fajarda and spouses Fajarda were sent today.
Oh, but Your Honor,
Para saan? Para papuntahin nyo na doon, pa-arresto nyo na kagad. Talaga itong mga tao
I
na
cannot answer
maluloko,
that
no?
because
Who can
I-
answer it among the OVP people present? Attorney Sanchez?
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have not seen the travel orders.
So you don't know where these people went? You just disappeared or something?
I have not seen the travel orders.
Can you
Your
call
Honor,
the
but-
HR?
Yes.
Where is the activity now? Exactly what city, what town? Because this is my suggestion. The Sergeant at Arms is here. He coordinates with the Chief of Police of the town where they're holding the activity. Then enforce the contempt order. Tapos, di ba? Para, kanina pa tayo eh.
Nagalit na tong si
Thank
itong
you.
si Flores, Kit Flores.
Pwede po bang maibigay ninyo sa amin yung exact location ngayon ng activities?
We will check, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you po. Now,
Para doon sa mga official ng OVP, umalis na kayo dyan kung nasaan man kayo, paparating na yung mga kalaban.
just to
Papasok talaga itong
give
mga ano na to.
a short comment, no? It is the duty of public officers to appear before Congress or any of its committees. In fact, in the case of Balag versus Senate of the Philippines, GR number 234608, dated July 3, 2018, the Supreme Court had the occasion to rule that the attendance is mandatory when so summoned by Congress, is underscored by the fact that failure to do so without legal basis is subject to criminal sanction under Article 150 of the Revised Penal Code. So, para lang po maunawaan ng ating mga kababayan, ito po ay ang hindi po pagdalo sa mga committee hearing ng Kongreso ay pwede pong makasuhan ng kriminal. Dahil ito po ay tinatalaga ng batas na ang pagpunta dito ay mandatory para sa mga public officials. Maraming salamat po. Meron pa po bang gustong magsalita? Yes, Comsec, please continue.
Your Honor, I would like to recognize Vice Chairperson, Honorable Janet L. Garin from the 1st District of Iloilo, Honorable Rolando M. Valeriano from the 2nd District of Manila, and from the Department of Education, Undersecretary for Operations, Mr. Rev. C. A. Escobedo is present. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. We will now proceed to the next item in our agenda. We will continue on the deliberation. The first to interpolate is, teka, ba yung listahan ko? Okay. The chair would like to recognize the first interpolator, Congressman Zia Alonto Adiong.
Ayun, si Adiong pa rin pala. Yan, tuloy natin. Game.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Mr. Chair, I'd like to take off from the previous discussions that we had last November 5, Mr. Chair, where the committee has already established a numerous acknowledgement receipts from the Office of the Vice President as well as from the Department of Education. Various of these acknowledgement receipts bearing no names and only signatures, Mr. Chair. Now, we have already established that in the last committee hearing. There were even acknowledgement receipts, Mr. Chair, with names that repeatedly, hindi lang dalawang beses, even thrice, 3 beses pong nag-a-appear sa mga sets of acknowledgement receipts. May mga acknowledgement receipts din, Mr. Chair, na pare-pareho ang pagkasulat. At yung iba, pare-pareho yung tinta ng kanilang ballpen na ginamit, na there have been numerous other observations, Mr. Chair, which lead this committee and at least this representation to believe na meron talagang questionable yung processes at mukhang gawa-gawa, no? Yung tong mga acknowledgement receipts na ito, Mr. Chair. So since then, since we started discussing about the acknowledgement receipt, Mr. Chair, there were numerous inquiries from the public asking me kung how important is this acknowledgement receipts are. So, pag-usapan po natin yon, and I think this is part of my manifestation before I go on proceed with my questions, Mr. Chair. Ang mga acknowledgement receipts na po ito ay isinumite ng Office of the Vice President at the Department of Education bilang documentary evidence of payment for the supposed expenses using confidential funds, Mr. Chair. For the record, and to answer the public, Mr. Chair, yung buong kabuuan po ng confidential fund,
Grabe, no, talagang ano ho sila, no, double time sa paninira dito kay Vice President Sara Duterte. Talagang ginagamit ho nila lahat ng pwede nilang gamitin dyan sa House of Representatives para masiraan itong si VP Sara. Umaga, tanghali, gabi, lahat ho ng oras, ang talagang pinapaksa ho nila sa mga hearing na kinakandak nila, yung dyan sa plenaryo, ang pagsasalita nila ay nakadirekta ho talaga dito sa mag-amang Duterte. Ngayon, mapapaisip ho kayo, mapapaisip ang sambahin ng Pilipino. Sa mga nararanasan nating kapalpakan, kalokohan dito sa administrasyon na to, bakit ho kaya ayaw nilang maibalik ang mga Duterte? Bakit ho kaya takot na takot sila kay VP Sara dito kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte? Diba, pagdating sa peace and order, diba, kay Tatay Digong, malaya tayong nakakalakad pagkagabi. Pagdating naman sa pagdala ng mga reforma, magaling din huyang si Vice President Sara Duterte, no? Yung kay Tatay Digong, peace and order, kay VP Sara, kumbaga, upgraded version yan, itong si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. Ang problema lang dito kay VP, hindi ho siya nagmumura. VP, murahin mo na tong mga to, oh. Murahin.
Totaling 500 million pesos, as well as the confidential funds of the Department of Education totaling 112.5 million. These amounts were liquidated, Mr. Chair, solely through the acknowledgement receipts, totaling with a grand total of 612.5 million of these public funds utilized, na ginamit na ang binigay lang sa COA as a justification for the utilization of these confidential funds ay yung acknowledgement receipts na marami ho tayong nakita in the previous hearings na medyo questionable. Yung iba ay to a point na nakakatawa, Mr. Chair. And I would just like to cite an example, and let me go back to the previous, again, acknowledgement receipt that was first observed by Chairman Romy Acop. How many acknowledgement receipts are we talking here, Mr. Chair? No, based on my office count, there are almost 4,500 acknowledgement receipts na nanggaling po
Yan na naman
in
si
total,
Pianos.
no? Both nanggaling po sa Office of the Vice President, pati rin po galing po dun sa Department of Education when the Vice President concurrently holding the office as Secretary. Roughly 4,500, 2,670 from the Office of the Vice President submitted acknowledgement receipts, and 1,820 with invoices, zero official receipts, no? Lahat po ito acknowledgement receipts na walang attachment of proof of identity, no? Or the existent man lang na yung supposed recipients nito ay buhay.
Grabe, no, habang pinapanood ho ito nitong si Rafi Tulfo. Ang saya-saya ho nitong si Rafi Tulfo. Grabe, tinutulungan niyo ako, ha. Talagang ako gusto niyong manalo sa 2025, ha. Ay, 2028, ha. Kasi yung amo ho nila, itong si Tambaloslos, wala naman ho, hindi naman ho siya pumapasok sa mga survey. Ngayon, ang nagpupukpukan lang sa number 1, number 2, itong si VP Sara at itong si Rafi Tulfo. Kaya naman, ginagawa niyo ng napakalaking pabor itong si Rafi Tulfo dyan sa paninira niyo na yan kay Vice President Sara Duterte. Pero sa bagay, kung yun naman talaga ang plano all along, hindi ko tayo, parang ang hirap paniwalaan nun, no? Pinsan mo, presidente. Ikaw, atat-natat kang maging presidente. Alangan namang ipwesto mo, yan si Rapi Tulfo, di ba? Pero actually, kung hindi lang ginulo nitong si Tambaluslos ang usapan, pinagpatuloy lang ang unit team, sa tingin ho natin, kung siya naging, kumbaga, nasa gitna siya, talagang hindi niya binanatan itong si VP Sara, malamang sa malamang magiging senador yan si Tamba. Pwede siyang tumakbo ng pagka-senador sa 2025, 2028. Pero sa bagay, matanda na ho kasi siya Ayaw niya nang maging senador. Ang target ho talaga niya ay maging presidente.
Or totoong tao. So this is what we find out during the previous committee hearings, and this is what I think the observation of this representation would like to find out. May I, again, let me go back to the previous discussion that we had. At nagkaroon din ito ng national traction. May I request COMSEC to please flash the first acknowledgement receipt that was noticed by Chairman Akop. Ayan po, Mr. Chair. Yung Mary Grace Piatos, no? Isa po yan.
Sabi nila, Piati. Kayo lang nalagay ng Piatos para medyo sensational sa
Sa mga acknowledgement receipt na naisumite sa Commission on COA, Commission on Audit, na alam naman po natin na yung pangalan na Mary Grace ay isang restaurant, yung Piatos ay isang chichirya. No, if you ask me, medyo questionable. Kung meron pa ho talagang taong nagngangalang Mary Grace Piatos, now we could not find out whether this Mary Grace Piatos is indeed a person or alive because there's no corroborative attachment to it other than the acknowledgement receipt na receive natin, ang pirmado niya. So, Mr. Chair, this prompted, Mr. Chair, in fact, some of the members here and guest members who came out with a, yung pabuya na kung sino man ang makakapagturo, Mr. Chair, sa taong ito na buhay, we are willing to provide 1 million pesos as a reward for anybody who can point
Kaso alam nyo, walang ganyang pangalan, kaya ang lalakas ng loob yung magbigay ng pabuya. Anak ng toka talaga.
to us whether this Mary Grace Piatos is indeed a person and if she is really around, alive, no, Mr. Chair. Also, as Mr. Chair, another observation that I want to ask, I think it was also already mentioned during the previous hearings, that there are names appearing in both the acknowledgement receipts from the OVP and as well as from the Department of Education. Pero may isang pangalan na nag-stand out sa akin among all the acknowledgement receipts na sinumite nila. So, Mr. Chair, just to maintain the confidentiality of the activities, assuming there were any such activities, Mr. Chair, I would just like to show to you the signature of this particular acknowledgement receipt which I noticed, Mr. Chair. No? May I request our COMSEC to flash the second? Yan po. Ito po yung acknowledgement receipt. Galing po yan sa Office of the Vice President. Yung set po na sinubmit. Gusto ko lang pong tanungin ang ating COA. Mr. Chair, is Ms. Camora present?
May we know if
Here?
representative from COA is present? Attorney Camora. San? Yes, Attorney Camora is present.
Attorney? COMSEC, can you please flash the... You have already taken your oath, man, no? Kasi several times ka naman umattend, no, Attorney Camora? Tama po ba? Yes. Can you... Yeah,
Attorney
please.
Camora, please answer.
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Nakita niyo naman po itong no?
Itong si Atty. Camora, pagod na ulo. Pagod na yan, totoo lang pagod na yung ali na yan.
Acknowledgement receipt, no?
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Sa palagay nyo, nababasa nyo po ba yan, yung pangalan dyan?
It's, I think, Kokoy Villamin po.
Yeah, Kokoy Villamin received on, ano ba yan, 9, no?
September
September
17.
17, 2023, no? So, itabi lang po natin yan for the meantime. And I'd like also to show you another acknowledgement receipt, this time from the Department of Education. Mr. Chair, can I ask COMSEC to, yes. On the left side, with black ink, that's from the OVP. On the other side is from DepEd. Okay, pakibasa po yan, yung pangalan din po dyan sa DepEd.
Mr. Parang parehas po, Mr. Chair, Kokoy Villamin.
Parehas. Parehas po, no?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Oo. So, ibig sabihin, the point I'm trying to drive at, Mr. Chair, is that based on the documents and the acknowledgement receipts, which we do not have any other ways to really affirm whether these persons and individuals who have received the confidential funds were truly alive and truly person, makikita po natin yung medyo hindi ho kapani-paniwala ako, ordinaryo po ako na tao, I'm not an auditor, but as you can see it, pareho po yung pangalan nila, Kokoy Villamin, yung acknowledgement receipt from the Office of the Vice President, and at the same time, from the DepEd, the same person, Kokoy Villamin, from Osamis, no? Sa palagay niyo po ba yan? Kung titingnan po natin, Mr. Chair, sa palagay natin, common ba yung pangalan na, Mr. Chair, Ms. Camora, yung pangalan na Kokoy Villamin?
Mr. Chair, parang hindi po since hindi, para siyang nickname yung Kokoy po.
So, masasabi niyo po ba as a head or nag-audit ng Intelligence and Confidential Funds Audit Office, masasabi niyo po ba yan na isang person yan?
Pwede po, Mr. Chair.
Pwede?
Pwede po.
Pwedeng isang person, no? Is it just a coincidence that the same two offices heading by the same person submitting to you the same acknowledgement receipts can encounter two persons? How unlikely would that be? Two persons with the same name, bearing the same spelling, same last name, with the same first name. Posible po po yan?
Medyo likely less possible.
Yeah, I think
po.
it's highly unlikely, Mr. Chair, na yun po yung mangyayari, no? Kung titingnan niyo po ba yan, Ms. Camora, yung sulat po ba dyan pagkapareho?
Hindi po.
I think it's very obvious, Mr. Chair, that the signatures, Mr. Chair, on the acknowledgement receipt submitted by the Office of the Vice President is quite different from the acknowledgement received by the Department of Education, no? Parehang pangalan pero mukhang magkaiba ang tinta. Mr. Chair, this is just one of the examples that we have received, no? From the office from the COA, no? Yung sinabit po nilang acknowledgement receipt, Mr. Chair. Now, is it true, Mr. Chair, that I'd like to ask Attorney Camora, is it true, Mr. Chair, na magkaiba po yung auditor nung sa OVP at saka the same sa Department of Education?
Parang that time po.
Yung resident auditor po nila, magkaiba po, no?
Yes po. Yung
magkaiba.
resident auditor,
Yes, magkaiba.
definitely magkaiba po.
Kasi kung isa po yung auditor nito, I think malalaman po nila ito and they will be flagged, no? Kung bakit magkaparehong pangalan and magkaiba yung signatures. Exactly the same spelling and exactly the same family name. Tama po ba?
Tama po, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think, Mr. Chair, this is something that we should look into. The reason why I'm pointing this out, Mr. Chair, and for the public's information, ito po yung pinag-uusapan natin dito. Dahil unang-una po, with this kind of itong pag-aabuso sa ganitong proseso ng pag-audit na ibibigay lang po nila is acknowledgement receipts, it gives us so many it provides us so many, and it opens up so many floodgates of questions, which I believe, yun yung pinaka-importante po na masagot. Dahil these are public funds utilized, and these are funds na readily available for their request. Tapos ganito yung nakikita nating mga reports nila at saka yung pag-acknowledge ng kanilang pag-utilize ng kanilang pondo. It's very obvious, Mr. Chair, na hindi lang po si Mary Grace Piatos ang nakita po nating questionable. Nakikita din po natin na may mga acknowledgement receipts, Mr. Chair, na pare-pareho yung pangalan, na magkakaiba yung date, na magkakaiba yung kanilang pirma, Mr. Chair. So it begs the question now, how do we be able to supply answers to this question? But even if we ask COA here, mayroon bang attachment na sinubmit sa inyo to verify whether this was given as a way to purchase information, or is it a reward payment for an information that is relevant to the activity of the Office of the Vice President or the DepEd in relation to confidential funds? Kasi magkaiba po yan eh.
Mr. Chair, acknowledgement receipts po ang sinubmit nila, and
Acknowledgement receipt po, ano po yan? That's the payment for information, purchase of information, or
Both
yung
po.
reward?
Both po, Mr. Chair, acknowledgement receipts ang sinubmit nila for both information and rewards. It's just that sa rewards po, may additional requirement lang po kaming hiningi.
Yeah, but unfortunately, some of these acknowledgement receipts were not supported by a certificate of success. Hindi ho ba? Kasi magkaiba po yan, Mr. Chair. Pag yung purchase of information, regardless whether this information are useful or not, talagang bibilin mo lang yan. Diba? But the reward and payment for the information, dapat po yan may certificate of success. Hindi ho ba? Dun sa agencies po na pinagpartneran, for example, ng inyong opisina. Tama po ba yun, Attorney Camora?
Tama po, Mr. Chair.
And all of these acknowledgements receipts were being supported by the certificate of success?
Mr. Chair, yung sa rewards lang po.
Yeah, but on not all of this, in this particular case na sinat ko po sa inyo, are you familiar with this kind of acknowledgement receipts? Or have you came across this particular questionable acknowledgement receipts?
Yan po yung mga ni-review namin dati, although at that time, Mr. Chair, wala naman po sa
Yeah,
namin na
that's why.
something
Yeah,
unusual.
that's why you have issued yung observation memorandum ninyo. It's precisely because they have failed to at least provide you the attachment to verify or at least to authenticate that indeed these funds that were used for a reward or payment of reward were not substantiated by a certificate of success. Tama po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Again, Mr. Chair, it begs us the question, gaano kalala yung pag-aabuso dito sa confidential funds? I think we have just started unearthing all of these problems and all of the questionable acknowledgement receipts. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg, Mr. Chair. If we go deeper into this, mukhang widespread po ang nangyaring pag-aabuso sa pondo po ng ating gobyerno, Mr. Chair, insofar as the utilization of confidential funds is concerned on both the Department of Education and the Office of the Vice President. Hindi lang ho si Mary Grace, ang sabi ko nga po, hindi lang ho si Mary Grace Piatos po ang questionable dito. Meron din pong mga pangalan na pare-parehong nag-a-appear po on both acknowledgement receipts, Mr. Speaker, coming from the Office of the Vice President as well as from the Department of Education. Mr. Chair, just a manifestation, and I believe there are questions relating to this that my colleagues would also like to ask the COA. And I would yield to my colleagues to further inquire kung paano po ito nakalusot at saka ano po talaga yung nature ng pagbibigay ng acknowledgement receipts, which I believe, to my mind, Mr. Chair, is open to abuse, Mr. Chair. And yung process po ng pagganito, kung ganito, if we allow this to continue on, talagang maabuso at prone talaga po sa mismanagement ng pondo na binibigay po sa mga ahensya. Particularly, Mr. Chair, ito pong discussion natin ng utilization ng confidential funds ng Department of Education while the Vice President was still holding the agency as the Department Secretary. Marami pong salamat, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Attorney Camora.
Thank you, Honorable Zia Alonto Adiong. The next two.
Ayun na mga kababayan, wala na naman nung napala itong si Zia Alonto Adiong, nag-grandstanding lang ho, nagpabida-bida sa media, para lang makapagsalita, no? Para kumbaga attendance ho nila yan kay Tambaluslos. So, tapos na ako, pwede na akong umalis yan. So Luis, maraming salamat to sa pag-support sa PH Update. Mag-ingat ho kayong lahat. Mahalin natin ng Pilipinas. Maraming salamat to mga kababayan.